sit back and relax once again as I introduce to all of you our three members of the panel today who will be talking about meaningful careers connecting with passion. Now, let me begin with the Global Student Ambassador and Student Success Advisor, who is also currently working as a peer mentoring officer in the university. 3 years ago, he came here to Australia, did not expect that he would become an international student advocate that he is now. May you all please welcome Michael Tian.
Now, Kim, do you know the saying, a rose among thorns? Because a very inspirational woman will be joining the panel today, and for sure, you have seen her everywhere doing every passionate thing that you could ever think of. Without further ado, let's all please welcome the co-founder of Stories Connection and the recipient of Victorian Student of the Year International Student Alumni Award, Feifei Liao.
Wow, Jaden, I can't deny the fact that I can't wait to hear what the panelists have to share with us this afternoon. But you know what? I gotta ask you something, Jaden. Have you ever felt that you want to start an initiative, but there's something in you that's holding back and that is saying that you can't do it? I feel like this is the time for us to be enlightened about that, as today, an ultra marathon runner and author of 2 books, Limitless Humans and Chasing Genius, will be joining us today. His vision is to inspire people to run ultra marathons and make a difference in the world, and he is on a mission to chase humanity and inspire people who have given up on life. Let's please welcome Sukant Suki Singh. Lastly, we will welcome Anne-Louise Thorbeck to facilitate the panel and lead the conversation. So welcome, Michael, Feifei, Suki, and Anne-Louise. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much. And good to be back. Really happy to facilitate this panel. And really looking forward to hearing your reflections, Michael, Feifei, and Suki, because I think, you know, you're all people who've really connected with a sense of passion and created careers based on that passion. So no one better to speak to the idea of how to create meaning, I guess, in a career. And perhaps I'll start first by letting you all introduce yourselves, because I think you can do that much better than I could possibly do. Perhaps Feifei, could you start us off with a little bit about yourself?
Yes, sure. Thank you, Luis, for inviting me to be here. I also have a bit of a slide I would like to share. So if you can allow me to share. Am I sharing at the moment?
Yeah, we can all see.
Okay, good. So I'll stop. Thank you. Okay, thank you. That was just a little bit hobby I developed during the lockdown, and I would like to see. That's also part of my inspiration 7.3. To be very honest, I'm still feeling nervous whenever I'm in public and doing public speaking. So I refer myself to 7.3 as my name. So I feel like I'm more confident. So that's just a little bit for you to see later on. Whenever I refer to 7.3, that's my name as an artist, actually. So I would like to start with, what do I want to do when I grow up? This question. And as you can see from the left, it's a listen to passion. And on the right side, that's imagine career. So that's what you saw in the very beginning. Listen to Stephen and imagine 3.
Feifei, can I interrupt you for a minute? Because we can see your PowerPoint, your slides sort of zoomed out, but I'm wondering if there's something you're sharing that we perhaps can't see.
Oh. Sorry, what did you say?
I can see your black slide that says I am 7.3, but you were talking about something on the left and something on the right, which made me think there's maybe something we can't see.
Oh, because I currently have the slide saying, what do I want to do when I grow up?
No, we can't see, unfortunately.
You cannot say that? Maybe I'll stop.
Yeah, and bear with us, everyone. These are the joys of doing an online conference. And sometimes, you know, we think we're 18 months into a pandemic, we know how to tech. We do not know how to tech. I don't unmute myself half the time. So bear with us as we're sort of getting to that. But Feifei, perhaps you could speak a little bit about sort of yourself at this point, and just sort of introducing a little bit about, you know, where you're from, your career so far. And then we'll get into some of those questions once we've got that up and running.
Yeah, sure. Maybe what I'll do is to share the slide, not the full screen, maybe, because that also have the role. I think it's easier for audience to capture. Can you see that now?
Yes, that's better. I can see a slide with your name on it with a sort of lake background.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Okay, all right. So I'll just roughly say, in the beginning, what do I want to do when I grow up? So I think about a lot of different roles I want to do. Be a policewoman, or be a teacher, or be a volunteer forever. But where do I land now is here. I'm not sure whether you can see because it's not the full screen, but you don't need to look at all the pictures to look for me. Because in the middle, I'm the co-founder and also managing director for Story is Connection. That is a not-for-profit organization. We focus on amplifying the voice of international students by using theater. Well, during the COVID, we started to produce films. And so I become a film producer in that role. And on the left side, you can see I'm also the project officer for PACE, Women's Leadership Program at Multicultural Center for Women's Health. And on the right, it was a screenshot. Actually, I just did an event yesterday for international students, a mock interview. And I'm the project officer at City of Witosi for the Witosi International Student Wellbeing Hub. And I grew up in China, but I never thought I would be doing so many different roles, which is totally different from what I planned, because I actually thought what I'm going to do is possibly something about business, which is so cliche, I know, Asian. And I did study actuarial, banking, finance, accounting, everything about the business. But now people ask me, why do you do something so different now? I said, well, actually, you know, I thought about contributing to the community, but I also think about how am I going to make bread as well. So I deliberately actually choose to study business, and I understand a lot of people have their passion, but they wouldn't be able to create their career out of their passion. So I actually choose to study business to enable myself to equip the skills so that can support my passion. And I think passion and career, which comes first, I really don't know. It's quite hard. It's quite hard to tell which comes first and which is the destination. But 7.3, I say, you know, 7.3, that's like a career and a passion. Many of us will live on the integer life philosophy. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, and that's it. And that's going to school, high school, uni, do your bachelor, do your master, find a good job, and maybe find a husband, get married, buy a house, buy a car. But I explored, if we add point, a decimal place between 7 and 3, there are many, many possibilities in our life. So it becomes 6.5, it becomes 5.3. So there are many, many possibilities in our career. And I think passion is the hook. You see your passion and how you get there. It can go in many different ways. And I will share again. It might take a little while, I think, just to quickly show you how the different possibilities as well. So that was actually,
sorry, can you go full screen because we can't see your text?
Oh, okay. Let me know if you find out. I'll just yeah. Let me know whether you can see the text now.
No, it's still the same in your PowerPoint screen.
Oh, it's still the same. Yeah. Okay, I think it's the sharing. Yeah, do you still want to see the slides without seeing the text?
Perhaps speak about it so we get a sense of what you're wanting to communicate.
Okay, all right. Yeah, that's fine then. Or you don't need to see the text. I think the image, because I just wanted to show the image, which is really the point. That's fine. Yeah. Yeah, understand you cannot really see the text, but don't worry, you don't have to read it because I'll speak about it as well. Because during the lockdown, I started to dance and now I become a dancer. And then I also explored a bit about producing films. So I use dance as a format in the film, become a film producer. And also I live streamed my dance in a festival as well. So I started to be an artistic director. And why it's important and relating to my passion, because it's not just about the dancing, the format itself, but it's also about creating the community. And the performance I've done is about embracing people in the general community and to celebrate different culture and also uncertainty during the lockdown. And you can see the film is actually part of an anti-racism campaign called I Am Not a Virus. So my passion really lies with what I call human. And whatever career I'm going to build, it's always about the question, what makes us human? And it's actually a quote from a movie of The Human. It's a fascinating documentary and talking about many different people's lives. And through my journey in Stories Connection, why I want to tell their stories, because there are so many untold stories. And I think they are worth listening to. And that's a way for us to also advocate for international students. That sense of community keeps motivating me. And to be honest, in the very beginning, I actually never thought about creating a not-for-profit organization because people always ask, not-for-profit, how are you going to make money for yourself? Is that voluntary? I think people have the idea not-for-profit, it means voluntary, it means no monetary value, but it's actually a career. And I can get projects and I can also provide opportunity to many other international students as well. So maybe that's all for now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Feifei, and really lovely to hear about, how, you went from the sort of very pragmatic side of, doing studies in business and doing if this other thing fails, then I've got this thing to fall back on. But now actually using all of that in what you're doing and how you've sort of, I guess, married the two of the one hand going with your passion, but also going with the skills that you've picked up along the way to be able to do what you do, which is really lovely to hear. Suki, perhaps we could hear a little bit about you next. I might try keep it a little bit shorter just so we can get some more questions in. But yeah, please introduce yourself to the audience.
Feifei and Michael. It was lovely to listen to Feifei and Christine in the morning session as well. I really enjoyed your sessions. And yeah, I'm a long distance runner, and I have written these 2 books in last 18 months. One is Limitless Humans, and the second one is Chasing Genius. And yeah, I came in 2016 as an overseas student, like all of you guys. And yeah, I did all kinds of jobs, and I know the struggle, everything. I worked in marketing, I'm working as well. Then I'm working as a freelance writer. Then I got whatever opportunity I got, I just took it. And both the books are the struggle of every overseas student, the kind of exploitation they go, the kind of challenges they face. There are a lot of barriers, and life is not easy for them here. And it is a fact. And they bring $37 billion to the economy every year. So basically, we have nothing to lose. And yeah, so that's what it is.
Wonderful. Thank you, Suki. And I'm excited to ask you some more questions in a minute as well to share a bit more in detail about, what's the motivation behind the book and sort of the motivation behind long distance running even. But before we get to that, Michael, perhaps you can introduce yourself to the audience as well.
Thanks, Anne. Thanks, Suki and Feifei. I will shorten my introduction to leave more time for our discussion and Q&A session. Hello, everyone. My name is Michael. I'm from China originally, and I just graduated from Monash this February. And now I'm working at MIT, the peer mentoring team, and I'm the peer mentoring officer. So my main job is more like engaging with the central student service, schools and colleges, and other student support departments to deliver the best, the learning needs of the students in all the locations. So far, we have 456 mentors in our program, and it's still growing. When I was the student, I was the student success advisor to give the general information to all the Monash students who are new to the university, and I talked with them through the phone. I knew most of the international students, they are facing different challenges in a strange country. So I would love to discuss more later. And out of my work, I am passionate with like stage performers, like to telling my story and to showcase to other peers and to give them more inspirations and influence their life in a positive way. Yeah, that's pretty much of me.
Wonderful. Thank you, Michael. And so as you guys in the audience can, and I should call you delegates, as you delegates can hear, we've got 3 people here who've not stayed within the traditional 9 to 5, or even, with in Michael's example, having the 9 to 5, but also connecting with this idea of something else, something you're passionate about. And Michael, I'd like to start with a question for you, actually. What do you think is the key to combining passion and practical concerns for a sustainable career? And is it, in a long term, is it possible to connect with both passion and the practicalities of living in the economy that we do?
I have to say, during the pandemic, there are a lot of like practical concerns for international students comes into different perspectives. And I think the key for me is that you have to confirm and clear with your future perspective and confirm what's the main motivation for your future career. Like what's the things can wake you up every morning to go to the work and to interact with the, the stakeholders you are going to communicate today. For the concerns, we like for international students in Australia, we got a lot of like support service that we can really approach to really handle our practical concerns. This is the thing that we can get help from the external sources. And the thing that we can only change and adjust to ourselves is our own mindset and to focus on our future prospect. We don't have to like focus on the details, like, okay, this is the thing, always like keep doubting yourself. But as long as the bigger, the broader direction that you are handing to your motivation, handing to your goal, that's fine. And then you can reflect to yourselves and always get feedback from the people around you. That's a good way that you can keep improving yourself and keep your passion in your daily life. I think it's possible to keep both of them as long as you can find the right way to release your pressures and to kill those like concerts in one day, and to always keep your passion up in your daily life, in your daily work.
Yeah, lovely. And I guess the importance in that, isn't it, to say that actually part of how we deal with the stresses that be is through that sense of passion, and just finding out for yourself how that fits in, because that looks different for everyone. Yeah, really agree with some of those reflections, Michael. My sentences are getting stumbled. Suki, I have a question for you next.
Yes.
In your book, Limitless Humans, you talk about your experiences of stress and anxiety. Can you share a little bit with the international students, graduates, and other delegates here who might experience anxiety and stress? What kind of things have helped you?
That's a great question, Annie. Let me tell you. And I was getting a panic attack in April 2019, I will tell you. And what I was going through, I can bet you my life, thousands of overseas students, they go through the same. But they are suffering in silence, and there is no Headspace or Beyond Blue or there to, they are just, because I was trying to Google medicine for anxiety, and there is no medicine. You have to find your own purpose, and that medicine came out of me was running my first 100 kilometer in April 2019. I did it in 18 hours 47 minutes, just to build my confidence, just to connect to nature and get away from technology. Then I did 204-kilometer run in Western Australia in a jungle in 52 hours. And then after that, I did improv comedy. What Feifei is doing similar workshops, I'm pretty sure, and even Michael is doing something similar. So the improv comedy is art therapy, which really helps you like release stress and anxiety and burnout. So I did that workshop, and it's like my friend introduced me to it, and I got scholarship to do that, and that was so much nice. Then writing a book is a therapy. I wrote 2 books in 18 months, and it was a healing process. It was writing, and then High Commissioner of India from Canberra endorsed my book, first book, and then Prime Minister Scott Morrison has also sent me a letter. But it is not just my story, it is a story of every immigrant in this country, actually, who are going through something and this happening with them. And if I would have died in April 2019, I do not call myself failure. Or if any person who commits suicide, they're not failure. Society is the failure, culture is the failure. We have failed to protect those humans. And at least 4 people commit suicide in Australia every day. It is very normal, but it never gets reported in the media. And there are many overseas students who have committed suicide. I know this, I have the facts. So, and I don't want them to reach that stage and keep suffering in silence. We need them support, like especially financial support is very important. Sometimes workplace exploitation is very normal, which happens here. Then they need counseling, and as well as they need the best medicine for me was running. For them could be music, like you have to wake up with a purpose, what Michael said. Like you need that passion to get up every morning. Especially in this pandemic, things have changed completely for us. So for example, every morning I have to run 5 kilometers. That's my ritual. The day I don't run, I cannot function, I cannot do anything. So for you, we have to play music, for you maybe, or you have to paint, or you have to do, even if you're not making money out of it, you have to keep doing, right? Many people see, I have worked so hard on my books, and I was able to sell maybe 500 copies, and that is not enough. I'm not making money, but at least I enjoyed the process. I enjoyed it. So after this session, and I want every overseas student to write a book, actually, because there's a book in every one of them. They have a very powerful story. They bring their own culture with them, and that's why Australia is so diverse. Without overseas students, Australia is nothing, because I know it's the biggest, second largest export, and they have nothing to lose. Actually, I attended a presentation of an overseas student who has written a book 2 years ago. After that, I wrote my book. So I'm pretty sure after this presentation, I want someone to write a book. And if you need any help, I'm there to guide you. How to write your self-publish your book on Amazon, sell 10,000 copy, and publisher will run after you. You don't have to chase them. So that is what I would recommend every overseas student to do it. Yes.
Yeah, wonderful. And sort of the two key takeaways, what I'm getting in what you're saying is that, actually connecting with a sense of passion, whether that's marathon running, or whether that's, you know, dancing like Feifei spoke about, or whatever that passion is, that's actually key to keeping you healthy enough to do what you want to do. And that's the key to staying in a I guess mental headspace where success is sustainable as well. But also the other thing, I guess, in what you were saying that stood out to me is that everyone's story is worth telling, and that everyone, you know, it's this whole cliche, I guess, of everyone's unique, but it's true. And it's the sense that, you know, our experiences are worth sharing and are worth talking or writing about, indeed. I really, those were the two bits that stood out to me. I'm curious as well, audience, obviously, if there's other things that sort of stand out to you, pop them in the comments, but they were, I guess, the two nuggets that I really enjoyed in that. And with that, I guess with our audience being largely current students, some really recent graduates, it can feel daunting. It can feel daunting to graduate a degree that you may or may not have chosen for yourself, because I know, you know, a lot of us come here with parents with strong ideas, or where parents have had strong ideas about what we should study or what we should become. And it can be daunting graduating or being close to graduating and going, I have to start making choices for myself, and I have to start creating a career that I'm passionate about and discovering what that is. Feifei, with what would you have told yourself, your younger self, back in sort of early university? What would you have wanted yourself to know at that age about finding that sense of passion?
Yeah, that's quite interesting, because I'm always exploring, and even now I'm still exploring. And I still remembered when I came here when I was 16, and I had no idea how, you know, the international student journey would be like for me at all. But when I was at high school, and I asked lots of questions and to get myself around. And one thing is that, there was a moon festival. It's the Mid-Autumn Festival, actually just passed this week. And I said, you know, I wanted to have a celebration for our international students at the high school. So I asked my international student coordinator, and he said, well, if you wanted to create that event, we can support you. What do you want to do? Well, he supported me to organize everything, and we prepared some riddles, and we ate, and we had some nice dinner together. So from that moment, you know, to see the happy faces, I really feel fulfilled through that experience. And also we have international student captain as well. So I was selected as the international student captain for our high school. So from that year, I started to organize lots of different things for international students, and also for students to make friends with the local students as well. So when I graduated, what my international student coordinator wrote for me is, you are a true believer. That's like a light bulb happened. It's really the wow moment in my life to realize what is my passion, where do I want to go, and what does that even mean. Actually, I didn't know what that means. So you're a true believer. But then I found myself, my heart is truly connecting to the word believer. And then throughout my whole study, one was at Melbourne Uni, one was at Monash Uni, and I've been in many different roles, clubs and societies, being the committees. I joined millions of them, and everyone can see me everywhere, but it's like far, very wide, trying to find out what I'm truly passionate about. Through those clubs and societies, I also joined the student union as well. And then I explored what that means by advocacy. What does that mean by welfare, that we often don't really talk about or explore what that truly means. And also the policies and what you can do. I even ran a campaign for international students get the Misc concession card. And then I started to see, what campaign is like. But everything sums up to the voice of us, the authentic voice of us. and how to place it around. So it's through a lot of different activities, both at uni and also outside of uni as well. I volunteered a lot in a lot of festivals, concerts, and get myself out there. And then I really found myself what makes me feel excited. Everybody say, every time when I see you, it's just like full of energy. How did you do that? I say, because I'm only doing the things that makes me feel excited, including my career. So I find those exciting moments. So if I find that's like that moment touches my heart, okay, I'll continue to do that. What I also believe is a commitment. Once I commit to one thing, and I keep doing that. And that's the first iteration of a story is connection, which is the active translation project. I committed to that. And then I built my career upon that as well through the commitment and also to find my excitement moments.
Yeah, really lovely. And I guess, and I mean, I should say to everyone listening in today as well, I know Feifei through a Melbourne International Student Conference several years ago, where I had very much the experience that Feifei just said, where I was like, wow, this person is just full of bubbly, happy energy. And it's so interesting to hear how you get that, Feifei, that sense of try something, try anything, but see whether it feels good. And if it doesn't feel good, cool, it's not for you. If it does feel good, great, commit, pursue. And it's that sense of, yeah, both being curious and trying everything, but also, yeah, it's seeing what actually feels good rather than what, is the right thing to do, I guess, by society or by, whatever forces we listen to. Before we head into audience questions, because I can see a few coming through already, I might have, I have a short question for Michael and a short question for Suki as well. Perhaps Michael, I'll ask you first. Let me rephrase. What are the most common concerns, I guess, you see with current international students with regards to career? And what advice do you give?
Yeah, this is an amazing question because I just, as I said, I just graduated this February from Monash. And I experienced the most challenging period of looking for a job during the pandemic. So I feel like for international students, the most concern for them is the nice work opportunities compared to the citizen and permanent resident. Because if you read the job description, there are a lot of jobs they only hire the PR and citizenship, and this is the first door they were closed for you. And it comes from, and the reason comes from their visa is not stable. So most of companies, they don't want to hire an employee who couldn't stay in that company for a long time. And also this is on other employment market. Is not at university. Like you can get a lot of support from the university, but this time you have to face everything by yourselves. And there's more competitors. You are not just compare with other international students. You are also compare with the local students. There's a bigger challenging for them, and also the language barriers. Some of them, they are shy to speak their English, and they're afraid to make any mistakes. And also the English you are going to use in the workplace, it might be slightly different compared to the language you are using in the classes. And also if you have a job in the company, every sentence, every word you are going to say is presenting your company. It's not just presenting yourself. So you have to speak with more power and purpose. So it will make them feel underestimate themselves and keep doubting themselves. I did experience that kind of period. It's quite challenging, about 4 and 5 months. That's quite a long time for me. And I received the rejections emails every morning when I wake up. That's horrible, horrible memory. I want to say something practical to give to the international students. What can you do to overcome those kind of difficulties? First of all, if you are still at university, you can still make use of the university service that you can get as a student. For example, like I know if you want to find some, gain some knowledge about the local market, about the career, about how to write your resume, polish your LinkedIn profile, you can join some like the job shop. I know the job shop at MIT University, and also the Monash Career Connect, that you can join some workshops and to gain some knowledge first from the starting point. And also like you can networking with someone around you. If you join some volunteer or like part-time jobs before or internships, you can get to know your manager more and to have a coffee catch up with them and to specific your questions, what kind of questions you are going to ask them, and you can discuss more. If you feel like it's hard to start a conversation with a stranger, maybe you can attend some workshops. And for example, if Anne is the speaker of this workshop, and and if you got some interesting point, I really want to dig out more with you and discuss further, I can send you a message on LinkedIn or other like social media and ask your coffee catch up, online coffee catch up, to know more about like what I'm curious about. Just don't put like general, like, the conversation like, oh, hi, I want to have a coffee catch up, but no one knows what kind of topic you want to talk about. And it's hard to stimulate other people's curiosity, like to want to meet you and keep the long-term relationship. Last but not least, regard yourself as a product and to sell yourself on the market. This is really important, and you have to build up your personal brand. What's your strengths and what your weaknesses. Focus on your strengths first. And I know it's really hard for international students to transit from the university to the employment, to the workplace. So you have to, you have to always be proud of yourself, like be proud of where you come from, what language are you speaking. If you couldn't speak English fluently, that's totally fine. At least you can speak you can speak 2 different languages or 3 or more. That's quite amazing things. Like, not everyone can do that. So you should, and also like even proud of your other entry level student, even you don't have any experience working in Australia. But sometimes in company, they really want to get some opinions from the recent graduate. For example, my job is like our stakeholders are MIT students, and I was keep doubting myself. I couldn't contribute too much to my team because they are more professional than me, but my manager and my teammates, they are super encouraging and always can listen to my opinions because our stakeholders, they are students, and I can speak something and I can voice out some opinions from their perspective. That's the thing that you need to, face yourself like you are good at something, and you should like make it stronger. Yeah.
Yeah, lovely. And again, I guess that theme of curiosity, isn't it? To say stay curious about things, make connections, try something. Worst that can happen is, you don't get the job, or the worst someone can say is, no, I'm not going to do an online coffee for you. Cool. Nothing lost, right? So it's that sense of, be curious, keep trying, but also that sense of confidence. And I guess going back to Suki's point along the lines of everyone has an important story and an important experience to speak from, and even as a completely fresh graduate, you've got perspectives that other people who've been at the company for 10 years might not have, because they've not lived your life, they've not had to face the same challenges as you. I love that. And also such a good point about multiple languages. A lot of Australians don't speak multiple languages, and so even if your English doesn't sound like your first language, doesn't sound like a certain type of accent, if you can make yourself understood, you've already got a much greater vocabulary than a lot of the Australians at the company might have. Before we head into audience questions, I've got a question, and for you, Suki, and this is a big one. But it's a big question to ask in a limited amount of time, I guess. But if you had to sort of summarize what success in Korea means to you, how would you summarize that?
Thank you, and it's a great question. Yeah, I might take 30 minutes for that, but I'll try to be short. Yeah, the first thing, Feifei, like Feifei mentioned this as well in the beginning, life is not a rat race, it's a journey. It's a journey like a marathon. Like when I run 100 kilometer, 200, I don't run alone. I run with hundreds of other people who support me, who cheer for me, who volunteer me. And like Feifei said, she had volunteered so many places, which is so important. So we have to understand this, and especially if you come from I come from India, or if you come from Asian countries, the amount of pressure the parents put, like you're 30, why are you not millionaire yet, why are you not billionaire yet, why are you not married yet, so this pressure is there on every overseas student, that you have to chase the two metrics of success, which is money and power. But nobody's talking about the third metric. And I got to know about third metric when I read Arianna Huffington's book Thrive 15 times before I wrote my book. And I contacted her after that, and I said, because I wanted to write my book on a similar pattern and redefine what is success in today's world. So the redefining today's success world is creating an impact in somebody else's life. For example, I'll tell you, I met somebody on Instagram. He's from Geelong. He bought my book, and I posted to him. And then he sent me a long text message after reading my book. He said, honestly, I have been a drug addict for 10 years. I have been in and out of jail for several times. And now he's going to run his first 100 kilometers after reading my book. I mean, you have no idea how I felt after that. You have no idea. And I wrote this in my second book. I used that text message. And so you have to create impact in somebody else's life. That is definition of success. Like Christine, what I was listening to her, like she's changing or empowering women in her country. That is success. So like money and power, we all are chasing. Like I was reading, like in pandemic, some of the technology companies became billionaire, like Amazon or Canva or something. Yes, they are doing great jobs, and that's fine, but you have to give back to the community as well. And so, and let me tell you, when my first job in this country was in a cafe for 3 weeks. It was a horrible job, and for $5 an hour. And it was 2016, I'm talking about July 20, when I just came this country. And that was a very normal behavior that time, because not just me, everyone. And that was the time 7-Eleven scam happened. So, and I was called bastard Indian, by the manager of the cafe. So I felt really bad, and I wanted to take revenge. And I said, I'm not gonna tolerate. I would have tolerated $5 an hour, but bastard, I will not tolerate. So what I did was, I thought writing letter to some person with power or so I wrote to the Prime Minister that time, Malcolm Turnbull. I didn't get any response. I wrote to Fair Work Commission. I wrote to Fair Work Ombudsman. I met a journalist of ABC in the cafe. We discussed for 2 hours. End of the day, nothing happened. So I knew I have to do something. After that, I got a job at ABC for 6 months, and I got fired as well. And then I appeared on Q&A. I raised a question on this, which created an impact. So I'm saying that we have to create an impact in somebody else's life. And if the system has a problem, you get into the system and change. So that is the definition of success, what I will say in short.
Yeah, wonderful. And such a good point to say as well. We can chase money, fame, glory, and we all need a certain amount of money to survive, and we need a certain level of recognition and all of that to be okay. But beyond that, it's that sense of creating an impact. And I guess as humans, we are so dependent on community and on social connection, and knowing that you're making a positive change or helping someone else make a positive change. It's such a powerful thing. And recognizing I'm probably quite biased, being a psychologist and sort of the profession I'm in, but I guess what I'm seeing is that people feel happiest when they feel they have a sense of influence, but in a positive way.
I have one. Sorry.
Oh,
yes,
yeah,
sorry, please.
Oh, I was going to start just pulling up a few questions for you guys. I'm just mindful that we've got sort of 15 minutes for question time, and there's been some really cool questions coming through. And a few of them we sort of addressed, so bear with me as I pick one that we haven't addressed yet. But perhaps this one for you actually, Suki. I'll pull it up on our screen. So Sang has asked, what does your writing process or routine actually look like? How do we go about writing a book?
Yeah, so what I would suggest first thing is you have to write something you're really passionate about. For example, through running, I'm trying to solve many problems. Like in Christine, what she said in a presentation, that you should have an attitude of solving a problem. So I'm trying to solve the problem of mental health around the world, in India, in Australia, in US, around the world, and it is a very big issue. 84 million people in India are suffering from depression, and our suicide rates are predominantly high in every country in the world in pandemic. So I'm trying to solve this problem through my book and through running. And running is my passion, it's my hobby, it's not my job. So first thing is this. Second thing is, you need a deadline. Like, you need to fix, like, 6 months I have to finish it. Like, for example, 31st December I should finish it, and it won't be ever be perfect. I'm not a best writer in the world. There were a lot of mistakes, but then if you hire somebody to edit your book and design your cover, they will polish it. But first you need to get the draft ready in a certain deadline. And it could be 1 month deadline, it could be 2 months, 6 months. I took 9 months for my second book because I had a strict deadline that I have to do it. And because some people say and do it, so having that strict deadline is very important. And for example, the publishing industry is a very competitive industry, so I didn't waste my time sending it to HarperCollins or Penguin or anyone, the top publishers in the world, because I know they will reject it. They get millions of emails. So the best process I would suggest is self-publish on Amazon. And once you sell even 1,000 copy, you will get the attention of major publishers around the world, and they will approach you then. And that's how your story will get told. And many success stories have been done like that. J.K. Rowling got rejected 12 times. Then there are so many self-published authors in Canada I'm seeing, and they made a career after selling copies like that. So that would be my advice. That.
Yeah, lovely. And I think, as either former students, myself included, or current students, we know the power of a deadline. We know that if the essay doesn't have a deadline, essay does not get written. And
just 100 words every day you have to write. You don't have to write much, just 100 words like a diary. You just keep writing every day, 100 words, and describing something you're really passionate about, and eventually it will become a book. It doesn't have to be that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and breaking it down in manageable steps, because of course, if you say I'm going to write 10,000 words by next week, too much. We won't even know where to start. But yes, setting those sort of small, tangible steps of just 100 words, we can always edit later. Doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
Lovely. Got a question for Feifei. How did you find this voice that you're talking about? And I think I believe this is Jaden actually under a different login. I think Jen might be referring to that sense of being proud of who you are and being able to speak up and being able to have the courage, I guess, to try new things. What's your reflections around that?
Well, for me, actually, it's quite interesting because I found myself, exploring my voice started when I was a little kid. Because actually, my dad moved to another city to work when I was very little. So all the time, I just stayed with my mom. And my mom was often not at home and played mahjong. And that's a Chinese game. So often, I had to spend time with myself. Who did I talk to? So many people say lockdown is very, very challenging, isolated. But for me, that's a long period of loneliness in the whole entire childhood without talking to anyone. And I even had to turn on the TV to listen to the ads to make me feel there's some voice on the background. So spending that much time with myself, what can I do? Watching a lot of documentaries, watching a lot of movies and dramas, animations, comics. And I just spent so much time reading and also reflecting as well, thinking, what do I like and what do I want to become? What do I want to do in the future? So I had all sorts of questions in my childhood. So again, I think the voice was trying to find me instead of me trying to find the voice. And also it's very interesting during the pandemic. And I never thought I could become a dancer ever. People talk about, I move like a robot. It's just very mechanical. I couldn't even do Zumba. How could I find my flow? But where is the voice? So I very fortunate that my dance teacher facilitate not just dance movement, but also the psychological impact as well, to really communicate with our body, with our mind psychologically, and to find the flow. And the flow is actually informing me. So I'm not forcing, I'm not searching. It will happen. It's like a story's connection. Why it's happened? Because I joined active translation and I feel connected to the students' stories and they moved me. And I found my heart was beating. I found my tears. I even cried in the public. That I've never done that before. But through that moment, I found what really touched myself. And that's where the voice is coming from. It's really making me feel that moment, oh my God, I'm a human. And that's what I'm passionate about. And that's what I'm trying to constantly listen to as well. So to myself and also to see people around me, because there are so many people to see. Sometimes you think it's something so simple, but just their smile, it changed the whole world. Just when they say thank you so much. Even the event I did, the mock interview yesterday, so many students text message me and say, thank you so much. So where the voice is coming from is really coming from everywhere in daily life. It can happen at any second, any moment as well. But we really need to settle with ourselves what moves us.
Yeah, lovely. And I'm actually, even though what you just talked about is in some ways quite different from what Suki was saying, I guess I'm hearing these parallels of don't get so stuck in thinking and over analyzing. Just do something. Just do it and let it be what it is. Don't have this tight idea of perfection or of a certain outcome, but just staying within the practice rather than within the outcome, just letting things unfold as they need to do. Which is such a lovely piece of advice, but it is a practice and it's hard to do. And I guess I can speak from experience being a dancer as well. Like finding that flow takes a minute, and it takes a lot of falling over, and it takes a lot of looking really silly, but sort of staying with it and staying in the practice and finding that sense of flow and ease. There was a question earlier, and it was sort of halfway a comment for something Feifei said, but Michael, I'm actually curious to ask you on your take. So I can't find the comment right now, so bear with me as I speak it instead. But it was talking about the idea of breaking out from cultural stereotypes, and we were talking about this morning in the keynote a lot. We're hearing from it from a women's issues and feminist issues side of things. But for you as a migrant, as I shouldn't assume gender identity, but I should say I will be inclined to say as an international man, what are your experiences of breaking out from stereotypes or gendered not even gendered, but gendered and cultural expectations?
Yeah, that's quite interesting. International man, that's an interesting term for me. Yeah, I came from China, which is a really cultural intensive country, and and also my family is really conservative. So I've been trained have to to be what they want me to be. But when I came here, I feel like there are a lot of life possibilities in Australia, and the first thing you need to do is clarify yourselves and to find what's the real side of yourself you want to showcase to other people, instead of to make up. Don't try to think about to please other people. Try to please yourselves. Like what kind of the side of yourself you like best. I also came from LGBTQ communities as well, so I was super ashamed of this identity before until I heard some stories from the people who came from the same country as me, and also they are super they're gorgeous, they're beautiful because of their confidence, because their self-identity, and that's the person I wanted to be. And then it took me 1.5 years to really step out of my comfort zone and to speak out my story and to tell and to inspire more peers. Yeah, I think that's what I passion with as well. And because in my past work experience, I focus on supporting the international students in their life, in their academic support. Also out of my work, I'm passionate with like supporting if they got any mental issues, mental challenges, and I'm willing. You don't have to give any practical service. I mean the practical suggestions, because we're not that qualified to give the running handy advice, but try to be a good listener and try to share your story, and to they might feel relevant and to share more with you. I think that's the good way to break out your stereotype, and also like you should if you have your personal brand, and if you hand into now, because the place I'm working at, there's no Chinese people in my office. I feel like the first time I feel like it's really hard to find the belongingness and the connection with this team. But until like I feel like every time, to be honest, most of them, they're interested in what we are speaking and our culture, and we can share more with them. This is a kind of like win-win situation, and we can, exchange our cultural, different perspectives based on our experience. That's quite something that we need to always be proud of. Yeah.
Yeah, really lovely. And yeah, and so many things in what you just said there really resonated with me as well, in that sense of coming back to who you are and who you want to be, rather than who you've necessarily been taught to be, whether that's in terms of culture or anything else. Sort of coming back to who do you want to be as a person, and absolutely for many international students as well, that idea of belonging to the LGBT community, but then knowing that that's not necessarily okay back home, and actually coming to a place of understanding, hey, there's not actually something wrong about me, there's something wrong about the community that doesn't appreciate that. And this is a bit of a passion project of mine as well, because I work in the queer community. That's my 9 to 5. But it's absolutely, and coming back to your identity and giving things a try, not necessarily being discouraged or scared away. Which really, really lovely reflections, guys. Well, I'm aware that we're on time for the panel. I really, really appreciate the three of you being on this panel today and sharing some of your experiences. And I was going to say, I hope delegates have taken something away, but that's nonsense. I know delegates have taken things away from what you just talked about. And thank you so much for being on the panel today. And I will hand back to Kimberly and Jaden.